Good morning to all of you. We start with sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So let's start the third day of our presentation, our session on Buddhism 101. The first week, we were looking at the traditions and different schools of thought of Buddhism, how it expanded over the history, and that's what you see. And then we also looked at the sort of approach of Buddhism, what sort of an approach Buddhism takes versus a dogmatic religious approach. Buddhism is more about a seeking approach, a philosophical seeking approach. So there's a slight difference between that approach. We also looked at the Pali Canon because I'm going to introduce you to a couple of quite a few new words today, which comes in Pali. But don't worry about the different words. Words are just to denote something. It's like any subject has a particular lingo. If you start studying law, there's a particular lingo. You need to understand that lingo before you get into the subject. But don't take it very seriously. The idea is the most important thing, not the word, right? And then we looked at the 5 subsections of the Pali Canon called the Sutra Pitaka, where there are different discourses in different formats. We also looked at what is the need of a religion, or any religion, or particularly Buddhism. The therapeutic need, the cultural need, the philosophical need, and the more liberative need, and where only little children would go there. And then we also looked at what is Dharma or Dhamma. We discussed Dhamma, which we talked about the nature of our mind mostly. But why the nature of mind is so important? We do interact with the physical reality. Let's say that we do interact with the physical reality, but our physical reality is translated and experienced with this filtration of the mind, of this contemplation or this process of mental activity, translate and gives us that experience. So one physical reality would be really good for one person and will be really bad for another person. So depending on what type of a mind you have, you could either live in heaven or in hell while you are in the same physical reality. So because of that, there's this wonderful phrase in Pali again called Mano Pubbanga Ma Dhamma, which means that mind always takes the forefront. So Buddhism, again, you would realize now, notice, it's not denying the physical aspect of it. It's not commenting on it. Let it be. That's not the main focus of it. We are not so interested about the physical realm, but we are more interested about the realm of the mind. We looked at how mind could sway like a pendulum to a positive side and a negative side. Now the mind sways between this positivity and negativity, and while physical reality could be anything, mind sways between the positivity and negativity. And we also discussed that mind, our mind usually has this affection towards people. We love a set of people, and then we hate a set of people. Most of the people seem to be neutral. If you look at the 8 billion people in the world, there's about 20 of them you really love. Maybe 20, not more than 50, right? Maybe 50, let's say. You don't love all your Facebook friends, even if you have 3,000, 5,000. You don't love all of them. They're just there. And there are about a couple of people you really hate. You don't want to. So hate, again, is a gradient. You could really hate someone, or you can be slightly irritated with someone, a slight dislike. Or you could like someone, or you could really love someone to a point that you cannot live with that person. So in between, we find a lot of neutrality, which looks neutral. But when we get closer, once we start interacting with them, maybe we'll find that they are really loved category, or we don't like them category. But from far away, they look neutral. So I'm going to introduce you a couple of words today. There's this fundamental quality we are going to discuss today called the Vedhana. Vedhana. You will find this in a latter part of our discussion as well, called the five aggregates. Don't worry about those things. It's just a simple model. Vedhana simply means the feeling or the sensation. So if you feel pain, it's Vedhana. But feeling is not necessarily positive or negative. It could be either, right? It could be either the positive or either the negative. So Vedana means your feeling, which is positive or negative. Another way to put this Vedana would be the felt quality of an experience. Felt quality of an experience rather than just saying feeling, felt quality of an experience. And also this felt quality of an experience is not necessarily the emotion itself. What does that mean? I'm really mad at someone. So I have a negative experience. I see something. I have a negative experience. So the emotion itself could be different. Emotions would be joy, happiness, sad, angry, frustrated. Those are emotions. But the felt quality might be a slightly different thing. So now we are not trying to theoretically understand these things. We are supposed to research and understand. We are like field agents. It's our field is our mind, mind field. So it's not the emotion itself, but how it feels in your mind and body both, right? So that's Vedana. So I'm going to introduce you to these words today called the dukkha. Dukkha means the negative part of our feeling, or what we sense or what we feel. And then we have the sukha. I don't know if you have heard these words before. Sukha, you have heard it. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Sukhi. Sukhi hontu. Sukha means the positivity. May you feel the positivity. And I'll get into the latter part of the discussion today and further expand on this word, sukha. So there's the dukkha and there's the sukha. But then there's a third one, the neutrality. What do we call the neutrality? We call it upeksha. Right? So these are Pali words. Some are also Sanskrit. They share similar roots. Upeksha was a girl that I used to know. There was a girl, there was a name called Upeksha. It's a normal, no one is named after Dukkha. That would be really bad. But Upeksha means neutrality. But then if you look into this language is actually very beautiful. It's very, language could be very illogical, but it also has a different type of a logic. So another word for Upeksha is Adukha Sukha. If you have the word typical, what is not typical would be atypical. So you add an A in front of that. So the same way in Oriental languages, you put an A in front of that, it becomes the opposite of that. So we know dukkha, we know sukha. What is not dukkha and what is not sukha is upeksha. Now this is slightly a deeper meaning, because our mind always is conditioned to think in the duality, the more dualistic way. Dukkha, sukha. But what is not dukkha, what is not sukha is a sort of a different observation to do. Okay, so we can talk about these things in a more theoretical aspect. It doesn't mean anything until you see it. Right? We can talk about all the beautiful birds that we see in the Barry's Lake, but until we see them, Jason has the binoculars today, until we see them, we don't really see them. So the same applies to this mind thing. This is not an academic exercise. Although I have to, put a presentation and you are taking notes and all that, we do that, but it is not a academic exercise. It has to be a experience-based, a real thing, not a artificial story. It's a real thing. So we have the sukha, dukkha and upeksha. When you come to the temple, I'm sure everyone has gotten this white thread, white thing that you do after the meditation, after chanting. People get this white band, white strings, right? Now, the color white has a nice meaning in Buddhism because it means not that, not this, just white, nothing. Right? So this upeksha always sort of goes with the color white. That's why I even put white here. Sukha and dukkha could have colors, but upeksha is the not color, that which is not. So this concept you would find in almost all religions. If you look into Hinduism, there's the god Shiva. Shiva is what which is not. And if you look into God in the Bible, in the First Testament, the Old and the New Testaments both, God is not what you could think of. That is not the God. That is what you are thinking what God is. right? So you would find this concept pretty much in all religions. Upeksha is a slightly difficult place for us to understand and see, especially see, not to understand. We can theoretically understand. So let's pay some attention to that. This Sukha, Dukkha, and Upeksha, are they completely theoretical topics, or have you experienced them before in your mind? Both, right? One could even say, well, I've never experienced, I never took a look into my mind ever in my life, right? Some people don't do that. It's only a very fraction of people who would know even that they have a mind. They're just so busy with day-to-day things and they just move on. But now I think because of internet and all, people are more aware. They are more mindful of those things, which is a good thing. And so based on this Sukha and Dukkha, we looked at the physical and mental part of Dukkha. So things like your illnesses, your ailments, whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. And then we are going to degrade. They say that there's a fine balance in our body. We grow and then we die at the same time. Our blood cells, they generate, also they degenerate at the same time. Our cells are continuously degenerating and regenerating. So there's a point where the birth or the generation is higher than the degeneration. That's when you start growing. And then after one point, you're sort of on the other side of the slope. You start going the other way. And there's going to be one day where the one is going to take over, and that's when you're dead, right? So that's the nature of our physical existence. Death is part of that. And so these words are called, I will introduce it to you later, but Jati, Jara, Vyadi, Marana, those are the Pali words. But there's a word called Jati, which means literally the birth. Right? Now, birth is also given as a physical discomfort or negativity in Buddhism. You know, there was this one time, there was this corner, not the corner who, does the postmortem and all. It's a corner. So that corner got fired because every time he would issue a death certificate, he was a Buddhist. He was a Buddhist corner. Every time he would issue a death certificate, he would say the cause of death is birth. So that way, Jati is actually said as a negative aspect. Negative as in it's sort of the source of everything else. So it's taken that way. So because of slight nuances like this, I think that's why sometimes Buddhism gets this nihilistic connotation. It's trying to look at the negative aspect of it. But again, I think the right way to put it is it's neither negative or positive. It's just the way it is. There's a nice song in my mother tongue. It's a love song. So this boy is heartbroken and he's crying now, and he's saying, "If I did not fall in love on that day, I would not have been heartbroken today." Right. So the cause of all this we could theoretically say it was because of we were born, but then we should not forget the other side. All the happinesses, the sukha part, was also because we were born. So there's two sides to it. There's two sides to the coin. So then simple things like cold, hunger, even not having water to quench your thirst. So those are part of your physical dukkha. What more in the mental side? We have the separation from loved ones. When someone that we dearly love is going to go away, right? We feel the sadness in our mind. It's not usually positive, it's negative. If someone that we love goes away from us, that's negative. If someone we hate goes away from that, wow, good, right? So it's the opposite side. If someone that we do not like go away, it's good. But if he comes and we have to associate with him, that's dukkha. So you find the two aspects of that. And we have wishes, we have objectives, we have plans. They don't always come true. When things don't go the way we want it to be, that's also a mental suffering. So it sort of falls in the dukkha part. Now, let's look at the more positive side. We are supposed to look at the positivity today. We are going to look at the sukha, but we are going to do a lot of charts and things that I've learned during my corporate life as an analytical engineer and all that. So I used to work as a marketeer, a brand manager, and I learned a lot there. I learned a lot how to deceive people. Like it is not looked at that way, again, with all due respect to all the professionals who are doing that. But what I understood is that if you have enough money, you can completely get people to believe in something. It doesn't even have to be a valid idea. I have seen people how they start believing in things, that this particular product has so much of energy, or it has so much of nutritional benefit. So the idea only has to be moderately validated, not even fully validated, moderately validated, and people are going to believe in it. So there are many aspects to it, like people believe in credibility, they want to feel good, so it's very easy to con people. So again, with all due respect to everyone who's doing the marketing jobs, me as a marketer, I felt quite bad for doing that. I mean, it was all fair. It was fair in the normal sense. But I did see how the psychologies of nationals work, how we could manipulate people to sell our product. So in marketing, there's this thing called the 4 P's of marketing: place, product, price, promotion. It's like the main theory of marketing, or promotion, or marketing basically. There's a thing called the 4 P's of marketing. So I think we could apply the same idea into the happiness part. Now, take a look into your mind and think of the happiest time that you have ever had, the happiest moment that you have passed. Can you think of that? The most happy day in your life? Right? Now, could you tell me what caused that happiness? What was the source of that happiness? You don't have to tell me the full incident, but could you tell me, like, what was the cause of that happiness?
Being in nature and doing something exhilarating.
Doing something exhilarating, being in nature. What other ideas do we have?
Freedom.
Freedom, right? What caused that happiness, like directly, on your happiest day, most happiest day?
Well, seeing as mine would be the day my son was born.
Okay.
My son, yes.
Son, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
A
Person, right. What else?
Like achieving a goal or something that you had for a long time.
Right. So if we again look into and analyze all the sources of our happiness, we could put them into 4 groups or 4 categories, 4 heaps. I will also introduce you to this word heap, or the aggregate, at a later point. It's an important word. So in order for us to be happy, for most of us, we need a person or people. Our happiness is based on people. Now, in the people, we would, let's put our pets also there. All the beings, maybe people is a wrong word, all the beings, like animals, pets, and people, brothers and sisters and parents, teachers, relatives, friends, all of them. And then if we look at the other categories where we would find happiness, it's the places. I have a happy place. We literally call it a happy place. Maybe coming to the monastery in the morning is a happy place. Going to the park is a happy place. Going to your own bed is a happy place. Right? So we have a happy place like that. It's associated with a place. We also has a few things that we own. Especially when you are young. I have a skateboard. I have 2 skates or a rollerblade. That's my happy thing. Or I have my guitar. I have my phone. I have my computer. I have my PS5. So you have that happy possession, like something that you own, which makes you happy. Without that, you cannot be happy. You also have the things that you do. Let me call it pastimes, or things that we do as hobbies, starting from anything. Yoga, meditation, taking a walk, playing pickleball and tennis racket, whatever. So anything that you do, any person or pet or a living being that you associate, a place you go, or something that you own. So these are the 4 P's of happiness. It does not appear in the Pali Canon, I just came up with that. But if you have to put into categories of what are the sources of our happiness, you would find these 4. But the thing that we can notice here is that, has anyone here have your happiest day in your life in the absence of those 4? I would be really interested to know, is there anyone even on Zoom that who was happy without a person, without a place, or without doing something, or without owning something? I just became happy. Right?
I'd say some of my happiest times were the combination of perhaps all 4 of those things.
Right. Absolutely right. So it could be one, or it could be a combination of many, more than one. It could be a place, a particular person in a particular place. Could be, it could be a combination of that, or combination of all 4. But what we can notice here is that we do not have this happiness in a void. In the absence of those 4, we do not have that. And also, if you look into the nature of these 4 things, they are all external to us. Is that correct? So, which brings us to a big realization of the whole discussion today. Our happiness is completely dependent on external things. Right? Yeah?
What about, I would agree, my happiest moments had one or all elements of these things. What about in a subconscious state, a sleep state, a dream state?
Right.
I can recall a dream that was
Right.
amazing.
Right.
And I don't think there are any elements of any of these, unless you consider dreams to be pastimes, which I don't.
Correct. Unless if it's lucid dreaming. Yeah, no one usually has dreaming as a pastime, but some people actually, you can practice to lucid dream. Later, it's another meditation technique. You can direct your mind and watch a HD movie in your mind. So that's one. But Joey says that our dreams are not associated with those external things. Right? But if we look into the content of our dream, the content has borrowed elements from the external world. Right? In the dream, we saw a person, or we went somewhere, or we did something we don't do usually in our day-to-day life. So we have a borrowed element there. But let's see if it's... so this is basically the nature of our mind. So it seems to be that it's based on external things. So when you say external things, we don't necessarily own external things. The external things even can be called as resources, because if we have it, it's ours. But whatever is external to us has to be a resource, and resources are usually limited. The fundamental theory in economics is that resources are limited. There's supply and demand, so you need to manage it now. So let's look into the next part of it. Let's look at the cost of happiness. Now, what do I mean by that? So we have the little baby who's not very happy, maybe. The youngest babies are a little grumpy. But after about a few months, they become very nice. They become very pleasant, and then kids are very happy. So then we grow to become the big adult, and then to the old age. During this time, can you think about the cost that you incurred to become happy? Right? I remember going to my school on the way, on the street side, there were these street side vendors, very unhygienic, very bad food. But they were the tastiest food that I have ever had. Like very tasty, like a icicle or like popsicles, small stuff. Doesn't even sometimes cost a lot. Sometimes it's completely free of charge. You get a little kid, they would just not play with the expensive toys. They would play with pebbles, stones, or a twig. Or they are very easily satisfied. So if we look into let's become analytical now, and let's analyze our mind. If we draw a graph between the cost that we incur on our happiness as we age, it seems that it's an exponential function. More older you grow, you need more money to be satisfied. When you were a kid, you absolutely were happy without anything. Yes, Alan?
But it's not just the cost of money. It's the cost of peace of mind. It's the cost of our physical health. It's the cost
Very good. That's the next slide.
Yeah.
No, very good observation.
I think that in the
Very good
property,
observation.
It's not just money, it's a lot of other things.
Absolutely. Very good observation. So, if we strictly look into the cost part, when we were young, we just needed a bat or a ball or a football to become happy. But then, as you grow, the kids, they grow up a little, they need a PS4 or a PS5. I don't know if it's PS6 now, but they need more advanced things. And now they need Roblox and Roblox money, Roblox credit. So you need to buy those things, right? The younger ones, they don't need that. They are just happy with playing with a paper or, useless item or a twig. So they need more money. And then you become a teenager. Girls need money on their makeup and all these things, whatever the girls and boys do these days. So they need more money on that. And then you become an adult. For you to become satisfied, you need a lot of money. You become slightly more advanced. You need a house for that, a car for that, a trailer, and a boat. So it goes on. And then you might think, as you grow older, well, we don't want to spend that much, but then you need to spend on your health. Good thing we have OHIP covering all that, but that's a lot of cost. Older you grow, we need a lot of money to survive, right? So we see that nature, nature in ourselves. So we seem to be needing more money as we grow old. But getting to Colin's point, it's not only money, it's availability of few other resources. So let's look at it very analytically. We need the availability of these resources. The first thing is, of course, money. As we grow, this is the amount of money that we own. When we were young, we are born without a penny. But as we get older, we gain monetary attachments around us. We gain wealth. Again, depending on some people might start very rich and might end up really poor. But I'm just taking the general distribution, not the outliers. If you look at a general person, if you pay your dues and RSPs on time, you are eventually getting more money than you were born with. So the money factor would go up as you grow old. You would have more. But this thing, your energy, you are energetic when you are young. When you are in your youth, you are the most energetic. You are super energetic. I could think of the time where I could even walk from here to Alberta. There was a time, like maybe not literally, but you're fit in your mind. But now I know I won't do that. I know this because I used to drive a lot before I became a monk. And there's a cop in the room. It was not just driving under the influence. but then I felt that you could drive forever. There's a lot of energy in you. But after about 30, I felt I'm getting sleepy at night. I used to drive like a few days continuously. But then you feel that your body is getting weaker. You see that it's going. It's not the same as when you were young, when you were playing a sport. You were very resilient. Nothing happens to your body. Even if something happens, you bounce back in 2 days. But then as you grow old, it's not the same. So our energy keeps going down to a point it's completely gone. And then if you look at the other resources, the biggest resource is the time. When you are young, you have a lot of time. When you are old, you have a lot of time. But in between, you don't have time. You don't have time for yourself, for me time, especially when young parents, right after their kids, you're completely looking after the kids, sacrificing your entire life on them, and you don't have time for yourself. Right? I can relate to my time when I have a son. He's in New Zealand. So when he was born, around that time, as young parents, everything is so busy, you don't have a time for yourself, at least in the first few years, until the kid is okay to, we can keep with him a sitter. So you see this element here. But if you again notice, until about age 3, universe is kind to you. Although you don't have money, you don't need money to be happy. So universe is in a way kind to you until about 3 plus. After 3, it's different. You have to ask your parents to buy things, and if they don't have the money, you're sad, right? And when we come to the middle, like the youth, when we have a lot of energy, we have somewhat of money also, but we do not have time to enjoy. We are so busy, it's so hard to take a leave from your workplace, because you are very motivated to work. You have a lot of things that you need to achieve in your life, so you're working towards that. And although you have the money, although you have the energy a lot, you don't have the time to enjoy that. And as you grow old, now your pension fund is maturing, you can cash it out, you have a lot of time, but we don't have the energy to do a lot of things. We can't do paragliding. I mean, again, some people do. I'm not talking about the outliers. I'm talking about the majority of people. So it seems that we are not lucky with all these 3 resources at any given point of our life. As kids, we don't have the money, but we have the energy and the time. As young adults, we have the energy, we have the money, but we don't have time. As old adults, we have the money and the time, but we don't have the energy, right? So this is the nature of our existence, right? And I could again think of when I was a really young person at university, a very unwise and a stupid person also. I had to go to Europe one time. I only had 500 euros with me, and I had to spend about 3 weeks there. So with 500 euros as a kid, as a 20-year-old, I did a wonderful trip. It's one of the best trips I have ever had in my life. To a point, I spent 2 nights in a Frankfurt park with the homeless people. Because I spent everything and my flight got delayed, so I did not have enough money. But that was the best trip I have ever had. I went to so many places, just under 500 euros. It's a very little money to have when you have to travel to a lot of countries, like around Europe. So you can't do that when you're old, right? When you're slightly grown up, you can't do the same. But then the good thing is, as a monk, I discovered you can do that again. This time I went almost like Marco Polo to the other side of the world and came back. I had a very little amount of money, but that's probably the monk's pass. People give the monks food and accommodation usually. So monks are covered. Unless you are a monk, it's very hard to do that. Now, we started with our happiness, and how our happiness is based on 4 things, 4 heaps or 4 categories. And all these categories require external resources. What is the cost of marrying someone these days? I don't know. It's expensive. The cost of having a baby is expensive. If you ask a lot of kids these days, they say, we do not have the resources for that. So we are not going to make babies. So one less person out of our bucket. Maybe we invest it on pastimes, possessions, or places now. So we see that. So this is the cycle of our life, and it seems that we do not have all the resources needed to quench our happiness thirst at any given point of our life. That's kind of sad if you think about it, unless if we figure out a way. So let's try to figure out a way now. How do we get out of this universal offering? So there's this wonderful thing which appears in the Hindu scripture. I'm again bringing a lot of Hinduism into this, Vedic ideas, because Buddhism and Hinduism goes sort of close to a point. It's all mixed up. I'll explain it to you in the next few slides. So there's this beautiful simile of how a person is during each stages of his life. Young adult, you are like a monkey. You're mischievous, jumping from desire to desire, very motivated, very agitated. You're a monkey. Well, monkeys are playful, so no restraint, restless, scattered mind. And then you become the ox. You have to work hard. Can you think of your first job? The first job is probably the job that you work the hardest, right? You have to work really hard, pull the burden of the family, the career, the society, You have to be strong, and there's a lot of burden on you. Now, in the Indian culture, the Vedic culture, cow is a sacred animal, but the goat is not. Usually, goat gets the goat can even be sacrificed. I've seen in one place in Manali where a lot of goats were sacrificed on one day. So cow is sacred. No one will touch a cow. They say in India, if to be born as a cow in India is very lucky because people feed the cow, they worship the cow. It's good to be a cow. But if you're a goat, it's really bad. So this is the middle age. The goat is expected to serve, and with sacrifices also. As a young parent, you do a lot of sacrifices, right? So that's the goat, and you are anxious, you're tired, but you still have to continue. You have to do that sacrifice. And then, have you seen donkeys at work? Again, I was in Rishikesh last month. In the Himalayan mountains, ox is too heavy. I mean, there are ox, but donkeys is a good mode of transportation because they can go. They don't need roads, so they can just climb the mountains. So I've seen donkeys. They have been working from morning. When I come out, it's 6:30. They start working at that time till about 4:30 in the evening. That's a lot of work. I really felt sorry for the donkeys. Until you see the donkeys working, you don't understand this parable. Donkeys are very exploited set of group of animals. They put a lot of burden on the donkey. He has to pull his weight, overused and underappreciated. So next time you see a donkey, please pet the donkey. I feel so sorry for donkeys. And I feel so sorry for people at this age also, who are not different to donkeys. Right? And then you retire. You become like a tortoise or a turtle, a wise turtle, withdrawn, slow, quiet, retreating from the world, right, taking a break, lives in a shell, watching the stupidities of the younger people, right, and thinking of detachment and resignation. So the final stage is you become like a swan. And in this Hindu scripture, there's this wonderful word which is used with the swan called viveka. I have, during our meditation retreats, I have used the word viveka. Viveka is sort of separation in Sanskrit, but it's also the transcendence or the leaving of this place, right? So that's the swan. Now it also says you can become a swan at any given point of time. You don't have to wait until you're there, until you become a tortoise. You don't necessarily have to follow this process. You can transcend, you can go like a white swan at any point of your life. But again, the point here is that we are bound by these resources, and it seems that we cannot get out of it.